The year is 2022, and we are here right now on Black Power Media. This is your Boom Bap Breakfast, the Remix Morning Show, and I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and your host for today, Dr. Jared Ball and Kalanji Changa. Let's go.
What up? What's up, good people?
Good place to be.
May in the back. What's happening? We back. Remix Morning Show, Boom Bap Breakfast. What's up, good people? Feels good.
Can you
Happy
feel
New
it?
Year. All that Gregorian calendar stuff. What's up?
All that. What's popping?
See, Ear Doctor got the blazed out 2022 in the back.
Okay, he blinging. He got gunshots in it.
That's how we do it, man.
End of Atlanta. Shout out to Goldie. You know what I'm saying? Max Julien. You know what I'm saying? Who made his transition. You know what I mean? Which is
is that why he was buzzing on Twitter?
That's why he was buzzing. Goldie the Max.
Oh, so
you know
because somebody had asked me about. Oh, okay. Now it's clear. Okay, because if people ever go and read Frank Wilderson's Red, White, and Black, his analysis of the film industry,
right.
He talks there about a film called Uptight, which is the first time I had never seen Uptight.
Okay,
Max Julien is famous for the Mac.
Yes.
Now I'm putting my particular spin on what Wilderson was saying because Wilderson that book was too heavy for me, but. The way I interpret what Wilderson was saying was that Max Julien had to die as the revolutionary, the black urban guerrilla revolutionary in Uptight. If people really should go, we should have like a BPM movie night on that joint.
Okay.
Because everybody knows Max Julien as the Mac, but we don't know him. I forgot even the character's name from Uptight. Came out a few years earlier, and I have to spoil it to make my point, but he's killed at the end of that movie so that he could be resurrected in film as the Mac in the black exploitation era. So it's like a symbolic killing of the black revolution on film and in real life to be reborn as a pimp and more popular. Anyway, but rest in peace, man. I didn't know that that's what was going on. So
no doubt. Good to see you, good people, man. Haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a minute. Everybody took a little break.
Yeah. They know we broke for real. You know what I'm saying? we were just playing.
hey, big up to all those that tuned in and caught the some of our specials during the remix hours. Big up to all y'all.
Shout out to the Ear Doctor holding us down. You know what I mean? Word. But,
absolutely. The specials are powerful and a good reminder of what we've been up to this year, for this first year, and a lot of great work and more to come. And I missed us in the week we took off in terms of the morning show. Because it's not just that I miss working with everybody, but it's that I'm reminded of the rest of the media landscape, and it's a mess out here. BPM is essential, man. Like I started looking at other stuff and paying attention what other things were happening, and I'm like, man, some of it is even good. It's well produced, but it's not what we do.
Right.
So,
hey, shout out to the good. Yeah, shout out to the good people I've been seeing in the streets. You know what I mean? It's the wild thing is actually going out and folks talking about how they appreciate, our work on BPM. You know what I mean? So definitely, salute to all you. I wrote a couple names down, but I don't know what I do with my paper. So you know what I'm saying? If you're checking it out, salute. You know what I'm saying?
Just a general.
We got
the all-purpose, all-community salute.
No doubt. We still here.
Hey, you know how it is, though. The real ones don't need to hear their names.
You already know. Yeah. Shit. Hey, I don't even get to hear my name sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, but look, I don't know if you all know. I know this is not on our run sheet as a story, but I caught a headline. I thought it was funny because the Wall Street Journal, the headline said, big pay raises are coming in 2022, so like get ready and be ready to do with all this new money everybody's going to get. And it is funny because it's I think I didn't read their story, but I know what the real deal is. We got a raise at Morgan State University apparently. So shout out to Morgan State. But the real point is that as we've been discussing, it's been discussed elsewhere as well. The value of the dollar is dropping. Inflation is going up. The cost of living is going up. So as George Jackson said 50 plus years ago, any nominal adjustment in pay is met with a more than compensatory rise in the cost of living, making the whole thing moot. And so as we welcome Tierney and Happy New Year and good morning to you,
all right,
and the necessary inclusion to the mix, it's all a hustle. So the Wall Street Journal has put this out like we about to all be good and chilling. And I just got a note from my mother's home care facility that is about to get up. So there it is. My pay raise is gone. There
hey, Jared, I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm about to go get an application so I get a job, so I can get me a raise.
That raise.
Too. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
Dr. Money going up.
That's what it is. It's all the way up. Anyway, what up, Tierney? Good to see you as well.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yes,
same to you.
Welcome.
Sorry, I'm late. Some cold weather, some ice out, so I had to take my time.
Listen, I can't even bomb on y'all because of the fact that it's cold down in Atlanta. You know what I mean? But I looked on a joint last night and I saw what was going on up y'all way. So I ain't even gonna complain. You know what I'm saying? All the
it's
snow
freezing
and ice
up here, and,
you know what I mean?
but I have to admit, man, I was happy to see some snow. Like I was wondering if I was ever going to see snow ever again. As a kid,
if I never saw snow again, it'd be too soon. You know what I'm saying? I got snow terror. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, it was the first snow, and it's like January 3rd, so it's kind of like wow.
Right. Well, it was a tornado here on New Year's Eve. They actually there was a woman and her brother inside of the in a drive-through line at Chick-fil-A, and the tornado came. They just took their order, swooped their car up, slammed it all around, upside down, right side up, and they survived though. But you know what I'm saying, it was that was New Year's Eve, so that's how they ended their 2021 in these parts. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Gunshots and dreadlocks. You know what I'm saying?
And tornadoes.
All that. Yes.
But that's all right, because we watched Don't Look Up Again as a family last night, and which I think is a commercial film product, is the most accurate film in film history in terms of politics and what is going to happen as climate or COVID crises or whatever continues. The political response is to leave us in tornadoes and gunshots, and if we got any hair, locks possibly. But but I'm saying, man, again, my only problem with the film is that the filmmakers encourage us to vote for these folks that they now criticize in film. But other than that, the joint is hilarious and frightfully accurate. And
check it out.
Yeah.
It looks kind of star-studded.
Yeah, everybody's in the joint, and what to the extent that it's interesting at all, some of the superstars, they're playing characters that are unlike most of the other characters. They're so DiCaprio and what's her name, Jennifer, what's her name, are usually projected as sex symbols, and in this, it's quite the opposite, which helps. I think it's pretty good, and then it's funny. I mean, it's I think it's a well done mainstream liberal critique of the world that mainstream liberals have helped create.
Word. Have you seen it, Tierney?
No, my husband told me to watch it, so now that I heard it twice, I will go check it out.
Okay, there it is. I'm glad I can co-sign husband on that one.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
I've been hearing about it, just haven't caught it yet. So definitely want to tap in. We thank Jed, because Jed usually comes with whatever's new on Netflix. But Jed has a special Netflix. So we got to make sure that us regular folks got the Netflix that he got. Because some of these films I don't be seeing come across the screen. I don't know.
I will say this: with all of these streaming services, and I don't care which one people use, but these, when you get a virtual private network, you can get access to stuff in other parts of the world that isn't where you are. So you can hop on one of those and you can see a whole different Netflix when you peruse, if you coming in through Senegal or something like that, and you get a whole new Netflix if you peruse as if you're coming from China. Well, you can't do China. I don't think you can do China. But anyway, my point is you can create a whole, so sometimes you can catch things that you won't see elsewhere. I know that you were making a joke, but that is,
Okay.
No, but to your credit, like I've definitely been exposed to more Nollywood or African movies, South Africa, like Ghana movies, just like in the past like 3 years. They just
right.
So yeah, I was definitely getting more exposure to different things around the world, you know.
No doubt. And by the way, just so folks don't think I'm all mainstream streamed out, pun intended. Quelly TV. By the way, somebody got at me. I was pronouncing Kawadia wrong all day yesterday and talking about Karanga's philosophy. So I apologize. No intended conscious disrespect on that. But anyway, I've been struggling a little bit. So anyway, Quelly TV is another option.
Okay.
Get some good African developed content. But anyway, yeah, check out that joint when you get a chance. It's a fun way to spend, a couple hours.
No doubt. Shout out to all the brothers in the hood, sisters in the hood, jailbreaking all these networks and whatnot. You know what I mean? To make sure that this capitalist regime gets as little for loose and dough as possible. So definitely, salute to all of them for that hardcore work out there. But anyway, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say. You know what I mean? We got a lot happening today. It's gonna be
sure do. Yeah, we sure do. I'm looking forward to the news segment. I got called out on Twitter.
Yeah, by
the hashtaggers.
Oh, no.
On a new report that came out that I know I'm looking forward to talking about. And so they were asking, what do I think of this report? And we'll talk about that in the news. It's sometimes, man, I mean, it's like, you know how it is. Sometimes you feel like you're trying to make all these positive contributions and folks find you, man. These folks find you and want to focus on something that they think you've said. Yeah. And so I'm like, wow, all right.
I usually only have that problem on the internet. In person is different.
Yeah.
You don't say.
In person, Brother Kalonji, yeah, it's good to see you. They're like, yo, I thought you was the dude that just said, yeah. Oh, nah, okay. Nah. My wife was signed into my account. Okay, cool. No problem.
It was a Russian bot.
Yeah, it's all good. As long as we good right here. You know what I'm saying? Because I just look like this. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it confused.
Right on. I hear you on that.
Yeah, what your man
only
say?
Happen on the internet.
Man, don't get it confused over some Mac shit. Not some rap shit, some Mac shit. Don't let your Mac, them tight buys and Twitter fingers get you lit up in the real world. That's what we do around here. Anyway, the views and opinions of Kalonji Jamachanga may not necessarily be all those of BPM, but they share the views of the people out.
Because I don't want the smoke. I don't want it.
Me neither.
I don't want none of it.
I don't want none.
Remember when Aaron Magruder put that he literally put that message up on the Boondocks and he said, "Don't come for me because I do not have a posse. I do not have bodyguards." He was like, "These are just TV jokes." You know what I'm saying? These are just political opinions. You know what I mean? Don't come looking for me.
Hey man,
keep it on the internet.
All good. Yeah, it's all good, man. I'm about spread love, man, on the real, man. You know what I'm saying? It's good to be on this planet at the same time as all of you viewers, listeners, etc. You know what I'm saying? Whether you dig our content or not, we appreciate the fact that you even taking your time, because time is the most valuable asset that you can have. You know what I mean? So we appreciate you all, spending it with us, man. But anyway.
And being on time and being on his BPMs.
You know what it is.
In the Winter Wonderland. See the ear doctors ready.
Let's get it.
Lined up.
Yeah. Hey, so Tierney, what's the weather like up there?
Cold, icy, freezing. My toes are still cold from being outside.
It's cold.
Yo,
the white man.
It's like when the weather's so bad that like the heat is like struggling to catch up. That's how it is.
Man, I'm just coming from Friday being on the beach where it was 80 degrees in Georgia to today being like 30 something degrees. Crazy.
Wow.
But I'm gonna give you all the weather report. Let's get to it.
Okay. It's the remix.
You know it.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again. This is the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and I'm here in the snowy tundra to give y'all the weather report. In case y'all didn't know, and whether y'all know it or not, it is the weather report. So with that said, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe, hit that bell so y'all get the notifications when that new stuff is dropping for y'all. Go to patreon.com and drop some change on the bucket for Black Power Media. With all that said, let's get to the weather. You know what it is. So let's start off with Cleveland, Ohio. Big up to Cleveland. They got a high today of 38 degrees. That's right, 38 degrees. Next, let's take it over to New Orleans, Louisiana. That's right, the NO. That's right, baby. We're going to take you there. High today is 60 degrees. 60 degrees in New Orleans. Now, let's take it to the west side. We're going to go over there with my man Snoop D-O-double-G from Long Beach, throwing it up for the West Coast. Long Beach, they got a high today of 60 degrees also. So now let's take it to a place I didn't even know existed. We're going to the islands, y'all. King Edward Point, South Georgia, Sandwich Island. It's like down by South America, like this real small island. They got a high today of only 48 degrees. It's kind of brick outside, y'all. Now let's take it over to Africa. We're going to Masavingo, Zimbabwe. They got a high today of 80 degrees. And then we're going to take it where it's pretty cold. Cold as white man. Providence, Rhode Island. That's right. 18 degrees. 18 degrees. That's cold. Colder than the white man, but not your regular white man. We're talking about white man known as Roger Goodell that is capitalizing off these brothers that's getting brain damage and injury and still making money off of them. Yes, we are talking about Antonio Brown, who just was playing football this weekend, ran off the field during the middle of the game, took his shirt off, passed, and was like, peace, I'm out. The brother got a lot of things going on in his head, psychologically, mentally. It's kind of messed up. I mean, if you in a car accident every day for as long as they've been in bumping your heads, that's what happens. But they don't care as long as NFL get their money. That's what it is right here on the RemiX Morning Show. That's your weather report. All right, let's get back to it. All right.
So wait a minute. That really what happened?
Oh yeah, in the middle of the game, he was like, "Yo, I'm out of here,"
and
took his shirt off,
quitting, like he's walking off the team and just
he's no longer with the Bucks. The dude just got in the middle of the game, was like, "Yo, I'm out of here." Took his shirt off, ran down to the touchdown area, and was like, "I'm out," and broke.
Yo, yeah. I mean, I hope he's okay. In all seriousness, I hope he's okay. But on the surface level, symbolically, I love it. I love it. But I hope he's okay.
Right? Like, that's a whole nother spin on it.
I've been trying to tell my brother and my dad to stop watching NFL for a long time, and my brother finally texted me. I think I see what you're saying, just from this situation. Yeah, it's been like this. It's really a slave and slave owner complex. I don't know why we ignore it and act like it isn't. So I'm happy at least some people are starting to see the light when it comes to these sports.
Wow. Yeah, they think he has drapetomia now because he ran away from the plantation.
Yeah, that must be it.
You know what I'm saying? They said he was fired afterwards, but it's so much mental illness going on, and I think that even with the whole Kanye thing, that shit is becoming borderline psychological abuse. And all types of different issues, and it's sad because of the fact that we laugh at mental illness in this country, and just because of the fact that someone has a spotlight shined on them, we it's like, oh, look at that, whatever. I don't think people can control their mental illnesses. If they did, they probably wouldn't have these breaking points or whatever. So we have to do better on that.
Speaking of mental illness,
I was about to say, he beat me to it. I had it queued up. I was like, click is loaded up, and he was click on the draw, boy. I tell you what.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to say.
Hey, Sharony. Hi, Sharony. Nice to see you, Sharony. You know what I'm saying? Happy New Year, sis. Happy New Year. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, you call you Sharony?
Sharony. I'm like,
my bad. My bad. I combine both names. Word.
Hold up. Come out.
I got my glasses on. It's what I can see from here from the screen. It looks like a Sharony from the.
Come out. Don't you celebrate the Ethiopian New Year? Ain't that later?
I got all that. I get all that.
Okay.
Covered. I get all that.
All right, cool. I catch y'all later. Peace.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Ear doctor saved you. But anyway, I don't know. Ethiopian New Year had to do with Shirney, but okay.
I appreciate
What's up, Kamal? Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes. Always a pleasure to be here. One more great year here at BPM. Matter of fact, we're going on month 11 on the 17th of this month. We will be in effect. So for folks who don't know what time it is, next month, February 17th, on UEP Newton's birthday, will mark the 1 year anniversary of Black Power Media. So make sure you stick around. We have some big things coming up. Know what I mean?
Right on. Hey, you want to get to this news?
Slap the map.
Somebody slap some maps.
Slap that map.
Oh, she's
on the boom back.
That was a fast map.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back, everybody, to the RemiX Morning Show, Black Power Media. Please do us all and yourselves a favor and like, share, subscribe, and reach out right now and invite people to join us and get in this boom bap breakfast. Kalonji, you wanna get us started this morning? Or anybody? Did you want to get us started? I'm not. I don't have the run sheet in front of me per se. But
you want to let Shirney go first or what?
Y'all got it.
I'll message you. So do you want to get started or
who are you talking to?
Okay, well, guess I'm talking to myself. I'll do it. Okay, so as we know, this week is we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of 1/6. You know what I'm saying? From 9/11 to 1/6. We know that white folks, lost their mind around this time last year because of the fact that Trump the Chump was on his way out. So there was an article yesterday or earlier today, actually, in Newsweek talking about an exclusive how secret commandos would shoot to kill authorities were at the Capitol during that particular joint. It said on Sunday, January 3rd, the heads of half dozen elite government special operations teams met in Quantico, Virginia, to go over potential threats, contingencies, and plans for upcoming joint sessions of Congress. The meeting and the subsequent development of these shadowy commandos on January 6th has never been revealed. Okay, so I find it like really wild that here it is a year later and so many things are still coming out. The fact that there were quote unquote commandos with shoot to kill orders inside of the Capitol, and the only person that actually shot was a I believe is a what do you call those guys? Not a what was the black guy? The what police?
Capitol Hill Police.
Capitol Hill Police. Mm-hmm. He was the only one that actually fired a shot. So I'm kind of confused how this whole thing went down. But anyway, continuing on, it says that I'm sorry, I was trying to talk my way past something because I just lost it on my screen. Where are we at right here? Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it says that right after the New Year, Jeffrey A. Rosen, the acting Attorney General, on January 6th, approved implementation of long-standing contingency plans dealing with the most extreme possibilities, which was an attack on President Donald Trump or Vice President Mike Pence, a terrorist attack involving a weapon of mass destruction, and a declaration of measures to implement continuity of government requiring protection and movement of presidential successors. See, my reading's a little off this morning. But basically, the point is they were more concerned on the 6th with there being a possible attack on Trump or some of his cabinet members. But what happened was, as we saw, Trump was actually the wick. You know what I mean? He's the one that actually got it all started. But it's weird how this thing, like I said, is unfolding because of the fact that, who knew that there were quote unquote commandos in the building but yet these white folks were going wild. I mean, scaling walls and damn near getting inside of the sacred halls of justice, snatching Nancy Pelosi's computer all up on her desk and all of that. I'd like to know, where were they at? You know what I mean? I just find that kind of odd, man. Anybody want to?
I mean, I haven't, honestly, I've not followed this that closely, but I've seen a number of stories over the last, year that have suggested there were a number of special forces type entities involved, and FBI agents in the crowd and all this other kind of stuff, which historically stands to reason. It seems like all the, so many people under FBI surveillance turn up assassinated, so many organizations, I mean, it's just crazy how that works. And when I hear Quantico's involved, I mean, right. That's the Navy, that's the Marines, that's the CIA installation. That's a lot of problems emanate out of that base, right down the road in Virginia. Yeah, I mean, it's spooky, and something I feel like I should be paying more attention to personally, but seems consistent.
And at this particular meeting, they're saying that it was they had members of FBI hostage rescue team, they had FBI National Render Safe team, they had an FBI SWAT team from the Baltimore field office, they had special response teams from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, and they had U.S. Marshals Special Operations Groups. So, I mean, like I said, when you hear this, it sounds like some type of mad conspiracy theory, like something that Alex Jones or somebody would be talking about, like, oh man, they had this, they had that. So I mean, it's really I'm confused as to how the American government, the American public continues to accept the narrative of the state, knowing all the inconsistencies that have taken place and continue to take place.
For me, it's what happened after that's the most telling thing, because the insurrection happened, and then all of a sudden it kind of becomes the new reason why we have to take America back from the Trump people and bring it back to a more centralized liberal democracy, and which is basically business as usual. We know it. So to me, whenever these type of controlled situations happen and are literally like allowed to happen, anyone who could look back at that situation, understand the level of police surveillance. I'm sure anyone who's ever been to DC understands that these types of things just don't pop off. Like, there's armed guards, armed people every single stop. So the fact that this was allowed to happen, and then the new narrative becomes, okay, well, this was all Trump, and therefore we have to make America into this new state that we're all going to be united. It was kind of like the new reason why we have to come together. But coming together really means essentially business as usual to the Democrats. And so it is, I think it's, I believe that most things are not what they I honestly don't believe anything is most things is like an understatement.
It's like, I don't even know if I'm talking to you three right now.
Right.
I'm just
it's all conspiracy.
Is this really BPM?
MSNBC, like, all day. I mean, I got so upset by July, and this story is still happening. Like, I'm like, y'all know that Trump isn't president anymore, and that there's stuff happening like today that we could possibly be talking about. Yet this is still the major story that you're going to spend 23 hours out of a 24-hour day on. So we can see the agenda, and that the whole situation was a setup to basically drive the narrative to support Biden and this new call for America to come together and whatnot.
It's the new Russia narrative for the Democrats, right? For liberals, it's the new Russia narrative. And I think there's a genuine split, obviously, within the certain aspects of the ruling class, particularly when it comes to parties around who wants to have power to do what. So I think that part, anytime there's an opportunity to grab a narrative and to shift it or to blanket the airways with it, I think that particular part of the ruling class, i.e. the more liberal, moderate to liberal Democrats, in this particular situation will hold it. And just as I think, like, on the day of, Trump and the Republicans and the right wingers, they fully supported that. They supported all of that action happening. And they probably were the ones who told the FBI and the commandos and everybody else to stand down, wait and see, don't go in, all that kind of stuff, because they were rooting it on. And then when there was the backlash, because it got to be something that they could not control or they could not spin to their proper ways, then they're back on their heels, and the moderates are saying, oh my God, it was almost a takeover of the country, right? So I don't believe for a second it was almost a takeover of the country, because I agree that with all this military personnel and police personnel, if they wanted to, they would have squashed that in a hot second, right? And as we always talk, yeah.
No, what became one of my favorite parts of the whole thing was watching Governor Hogan here in Maryland go on television to angrily tell the world, I wanted to send in the Maryland National Guard on these fools, and I was told I could not. And this is a right-wing, conservative, white supremacist. Like, this is no friend. But he was on there hot. Like, I'm trying to send in and get all of these fools out of here, and they told me no. And I was on there like, so, and it is hard. I mean, it is hard to think that anything happens in DC that's not sanctioned. Like, I mean, I really don't think, to Tierney's point, I don't think you can cross a street or buy a pack of gum without the state allowing it. Like, so I just, anyway, yeah.
The one thing that we know was real, and this is my favorite memory of that whole 1-6 incident. I hate saying 1-6, it just sounds so bullshit. But anyway, my favorite memory was the black woman hero, Ashanti Smith, who caught the white woman with that right jab, you know what I'm saying, when she tried to snatch her mask off and whatnot. Big up to her, because of the fact that they tried to push her around and everything, and she went Clarissa Shields on them and caught him with that right, you know what I'm saying, that two-piece, you know what I mean? So that was my favorite memory. The rest of that shit, whatever, white folks, do your thing. And to the one black dude that ran up in there with him, I don't know what the hell you was smoking. They about to get your ass live. You knew your black ass wasn't supposed to be up in there. But you try to be cute with your homeboys. You already know what they do.
The one serious note, I think, well, there's several, but one serious note I think to take away from it, though, is, you know, when the right wingers, in my opinion, are going to recapture both houses of Congress, and it's not going to just be a regular white supremacist, right? It's going to be these hardcore Trump type white supremacists, and so I think they're going to be doing all the things that they've always wanted to do, because they're going to control both houses of Congress and the Supreme Court, right? So I think that's a call for vigilance. There's always a call for vigilance, but I think there's going to be a special kind of overt white supremacists coming into overt power, right? In November, and Biden obviously is going to acquiesce and do what he does to get some bills passed or whatever. But I think that part is, I think the revenge of January 6th is still ongoing, because those white folks and those 70 or 80 million of them that voted for Trump, like as folks have said, they ain't going nowhere, and they're about to see some stuff. If the ones who wanted to seize it through a so-called insurrection didn't do it then, they will definitely be seizing it through a so-called election come November.
I even think Trump could be coming back. When they were saying that like last year, I'm like, I highly doubt that. But honestly, like the way that people really detest Joe Biden, and the fact that on both sides, like particularly like of the people who are the constituents, and we're so like, why are you here? There's no stopping, like, if not Trump, then someone who he directly backs and who's going to basically carry on that same legacy with that same charisma. Like, I definitely think that they've screwed themselves double, and I don't really have as much sympathy, to be honest.
That's why, and not to further ruin anything, but that's why, very similar to a plot point in Don't Look Up, there have already been discussions in the news about Biden holding off on actually doing something for student loan debt before the midterms. Like we covered it, I forgot, last week too, before the break. At one point there was a discussion of, he said he was going to do something, then he said he wasn't, and now he's saying that there's a plan maybe to wait so that he can use that as a midterm boost. But it's the same kind of, to both of your points, I don't think it'll be enough come the 2024 piece or even the midterms, and it's going to be a wrap, and deservedly so. Anyway.
Yeah, the rate we're going, I don't even think you're going to have to worry about student loans, because of the fact that I think that we're headed towards worrying about food, clothing, and shelter in a minute, because of the fact that, this shit is about to, you know, it's go time on them. Like you said, their machine is well oiled. And they even I'm looking at Georgia politics right now, just the folks that Trump backs, you know what I'm saying? To have that Trump backing is gold right now. You know what I'm saying? Whether he's in office or not, he's like the chief white supremacist in charge right now, at least in image wise. You know what I'm saying? In as far as symbolically.
Well, we covered it a little bit yesterday, and I didn't. But the one part of the discussion between Max Kaiser and Michael Hudson that I didn't talk about or play dealt with them. Hudson, in fact, claiming that by February of this year, the debt and it's a debt and it wasn't a bubble, but something, there's going to be a new turn, a downturn, where we're going to see this enormous uptick of houselessness and joblessness as various moratoria and other whatever run out. And you know, so it's about to get pretty bad out here. So you're right. Student loan debt won't be much. And even for those of us who have it, where it would help us, it's not going to be enough to get the votes and the support that he thinks he's going to get. So anyway, but if it's okay, one group that's on the case to help make sure that at least descendants of American slaves or slavery get taken care of. There was a new report that came out that was very interesting from the misinformation review out of the Harvard Kennedy School, was forced to retract a report they published earlier a year ago in January of 2021. So it says here, retraction note to disinformation creep, ADOS, and the strategic weaponization of breaking news. And the short of it is that after an internal review, they found flaws in the methodology of a report that came out last year. Discrepancies between the data and the findings reported by the authors, resulting in unsubstantiated conclusions drawn from their analyses. So the title, the report that came out was Disinformation Creep, ADOS, and the Strategic Weaponization of Breaking News. And according to this external review, Nkonde et al., the authors, failed to meet professional standards of validity and reliability. The review stated that the conclusions drawn by the authors are supported primarily by their interpretation of a few selected tweets by ADOS leadership, and that the quantitative analysis is insufficiently connected to the conclusions of the paper. The reviewer conducted a partial replication of the quantitative analysis and found that it did not support the author's findings, that Bozeman's passing barely registered in the ADOS network, and their conclusion that the networks exhibits a lack of concern for COVID-19. So that was a story that was brought to my attention on Twitter, with folks asking, what did I think about the story? Because obviously they were saying, well, you're a critic of ADOS. So now what do you think after a report claiming negative things about them was shown to be flawed? And it apparently was, but just a little more detail on it. It says, this is the internal review that was conducted by misinformation review at the Harvard Kennedy School. Disinformation creep, ADOS, and the strategic weaponization of breaking news, henceforth Nkonde et al., was published by the Shorenstein Center of Misinformation Review on 18th of January 2021. The authors argue that American descendants of slavery movement engages in a variant of disinformation termed by the authors as disinformation creep, in which ADOS activists exploit breaking news events to discourage African Americans from voting for the Democratic Party. The authors reached their conclusions based on an original Twitter data set collected from several sources. In accordance with the journal standards, replication code is provided in accordance with Twitter's terms of service. Nkonde, here just some of the issues that they said they got wrong. Nkonde et al. Summarized ADOS as an online movement where, in fact, the group is registered as a 501c4 social welfare organization with over 40 chapters currently in place online. So the assessment is that ADOS founder Breaking Brown will soon be they note that ADOS will soon be a social welfare group, and that the report should have noted that and made made it that clear. So they're not just an online entity. The other issue was that ADOS was being claimed to be, in the report, to be affiliated with FBA, the Foundational Black Americans, or the Tariq Nasheed group. And as we know, because we've discussed it here, Tariq Nasheed had a battle with the founders of ADOS over trademarking both, I think either ADOS or FBA or one or the other. So they're not on the same team. And this was just to clarify that they're not on the same team as the report claimed. The other issue, and this was something that came up with me personally, and then I'll just leave it here and we can put the links up if people want to follow this in more detail. But the rebuttal of the report that claimed that ADOS was discouraging Black voters from voting was apparently seen as incorrect. That, in other words, ADOS was not discouraging people from voting, as was claimed in the and voting specifically for the Democratic Party, as was claimed in the original report. So the retraction and the internal review had to clarify that. Now, what is interesting for me is that, to me, this doesn't change anything about or challenge any of my criticisms of ADOS. And in fact, one of the authors, if I remember correctly, and I think this is what happened. One of the authors of this report had interviewed me for this and for, I think, their dissertation, PhD dissertation. And this was one of the issues that I raised with them. When they sent me this report, when it came out, I told them, I said, this is sort of what my problem is with this whole thing. I don't have a critique of them for telling Black people not to vote for the Democratic Party. I tell Black people not to vote for the Democratic Party. I'm like, that's not a problem for me. If in fact, but the argument I was trying to make that I think got lost in my interview and certainly did not play a factor in this report, because the Harvard Kennedy School is not a radical entity in its own right. My point was, they are a conservative, reactionary political movement wrapped in some sort of radical progressive Blackness that is. And that's basically my point. So none of that is changed by this report as far as I'm concerned. It just shows, again, that when you have mainstream liberal institutions trying to assess whatever is happening in the world, their criticism is, are you blocking Black voters from supporting the Democratic Party? Are you stopping Black voters from thinking coronavirus is real and a major problem? And that's the extent of their concern. They're not concerned about what I'm concerned about or what I think we collectively are concerned about, which is why, and I'll stop here, why I think what BPM does is so important, because our perspectives collectively are not represented in some sort of organized way almost anywhere. In terms of in terms of these kinds of issues. Anyway, so that's it. That's the story.
It's just sad that first of all, I don't care what the article says. They are an online group. Like, they are. It's not hard to file a 501c. I have a 501c3 that I've barely done anything. It's not hard.
Well, there are 4, just so we're accurate. 501c4.
And a 3 is more beneficial. If like, it's not hard to file a 501c4 application and have the IRS like say, okay, we recognize you're a nonprofit. Like, the reason why I think this is more annoying is because, if we're all being honest, these people are just trolls. And the fact that they're actually citing FBA and ADOS tells me that this is the intentional effort to divert conversations away from things that are more substantive. Because if you actually go down and listen to these people, I know they have a website where they talk about, oh, we're for this or we're for that. If you actually listen to what they're actually saying, most of what they're saying is driven about the media, is driven about trying to get people to react instead of trying to get people to actually do things that were substantive. So you'll hear people say things about Africans starring as African Americans. What does that have to do with policy? You have people say things about, these immigrants inside of the community, one immigrant committed a rape and therefore they're against us. I mean, all of the things that they're saying to galvanize support none of it actually goes towards the conditions of the people. So I understand you can have a written out policy about what you stand for, but if what you're about, what you spend most of your time doing, or where your support comes from, are things that are not rooted inside of our actual problems, then yeah, you are a hashtag online organization. And so if we're being honest, if it wasn't for these debates that go back and forth between ADOS and other groups that mean nothing, most of us would have forgotten about them by now. So I don't care, what chapters or whatever is or established. My question is, what are you doing to move the people in our conditions, especially in a time like this where we're suffering? What is happening that you're actually doing or calling for, and what energy are you devoting to that purpose? Because the most energy I see is devoted to things that are inconsequential.
And that's from Tyranny, who is the polite member of the group. You know what I'm saying? So if she feel that way, imagine what the views and opinions of the rest of us are. But yeah, that's you summed that up quite well. And I think that it's sad that this is even a discussion in 2022 with all the real shit that's going down. I mean, like, folks are literally at war right now for fighting for their lives, fighting for independence, fighting for sovereignty. And we're arguing about, we're not arguing, but these folks are debating, some bullshit. We got to take this a step further, man. So definitely, it's crazy. My stomach really turns every time I hear about this shit, because it's like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? What are we doing here? So I don't know. But
I see the strategy is kind of like a divide. They're definitely like a divide and conquer. One small thing is like put up something on Kwame Ture talking about like an old interview, talking about the names, like, what's in the name. And one of the first reactions from the ADOS person was like, Kwame Ture came from Barbados or whatever like that. And it's like, and somehow that disqualifies him to talk about what? Or somehow
Trinidad,
you think he or Trinidad. I'm sorry, for Trinidad. It's like sometimes, and you think what, like his family moved to Trinidad, like his like family wasn't shipped to Trinidad.
In fact, in the clip that you posted, that was what came up. I mean, it's what's crazy, and when people, and I encourage everybody to watch it, because it's 1989, but you could swear it's right now, other than maybe the quality of the video. But the one brother to his right, the super capitalist, basically made the ADOS argument. These immigrants are coming from other parts of the world, getting all the benefits we're supposed to be getting, and I, as the owner of a Coca-Cola bottling company, want what's mine. And then he even says to Ture, my people, came from Jamaica. So I don't even know. And Ture was like, what does that have to do with anything? That's where the slave ship dropped you off. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was the same. It really did feel like we've made no progress in whatever many years since then. It felt really bad almost to be watching that. Like, damn, we especially, and I was reading that ADOS stuff as I'm watching it. I'm like, good God. Anyway,
especially saying you from Jamaica. I mean, like, dude, like, for crying out loud. It's like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? You were not, your people were not oppressed. Are you serious? Like, did you read anything about Jamaica, or did you just came across and said, you went to a Bob Marley concert or some shit?
But the one thing I think is important to note from about that video, though, is that we would never see a Kwame Ture politics represented in today's version of that show. So wherever that show would be occurring, we would never. Ture was actually included in those discussions to a certain extent at one point, which is kind of crazy to think about. Now they had plenty of people to try to balance him out, but I mean, he wouldn't even be there today.
Yeah, and that was if I remember, that was PBS. That was like mainstream. That's right. It could have been any mainstream media outlet, and I agree, like 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And I think that's one of the things that they learned from their mistakes. They're going to shut down radical nationalists, as long as they think if you make sense, right? There are people who will get through.
Right.
But they're usually wrapped up in some nutty politics that they can get laughed at, screamed on, or they can direct people towards those politics, which are really not going to go anywhere except making donations into somebody's pocket.
And the sad thing about social media is that it really kills the vetting process, because it seems like at a certain time you had to do a certain amount of work to get the people's respect. Whereas today, if that debate were to happen, it would be Yvette Carnell and Nathaniel Moore and probably Umar Johnson and, different people who, I don't have necessarily a list of what you've done in a community, but I do have a well understanding of you because of your visibility. And so the whole idea that people who get qualified, so to speak, to actually speak on behalf of the people have actually worked on behalf of the people is eliminated. Instead, you speak on behalf of the people because you sound good and people like hearing you and they like your sound bites and you get them stirred up. I mean, there's a lot of people who have a platform and you would think that that person is the voice of the people. And it's like, what have you actually done? Which is the other thing that teased me off about the ADOS, people, whenever they say things like, Kwame Ture, or they're going at Marcus Garvey, is that even if, and Malcolm X was also descended from Caribbean descent. Even if all these people were of Caribbean descent or not quote unquote ADOS descent, they've done more than you've ever done in your entire lifetime. They've done it probably in a month for the people. They've done more than you could ever think of doing for the people, or you're even willing to do for one day. And yet you feel like you can qualify someone based on tweets that you feel like you're a better person, has an understanding of what your problems are. So it's just the movement is hubris. That's why I do my best not to discuss it. And
my apologies. I just, I feel like I do feel a little guilt that I've imposed levels of trauma on my colleagues and our audience here. But
thank you, brother.
It is news, and look, the moment I hit mute on that whole thing, I remember vividly was when Reverend Kevin Cosby said that Yvette is the new Malcolm X, because it was in that specific, because they were saying Malcolm comes from the Caribbean. So I was like,
don't even repeat that again. Even though you didn't say
no,
it.
I think it's important to repeat it though.
Nah.
I think we need to be reminded of what is being done out here. To me, it's inspiring. Lord. It makes me, want to do push-ups.
Those people who are deceiving us, because clearly they have an agenda. Something like this ADOS FBA, it's like a jewel to people who are trying to control the narrative and control our attention. Because I all day on Twitter, I see people who are just going back and forth. I'm like, y'all don't realize how much time we're spending on this. So I'm curious about those institutions that are putting this message out. I want to attack them because I see exactly what they're doing.
Well, for the record, when I was tagged on this on Twitter, I don't respond. I don't engage with them anymore. So I usually just mute and block and all of that. But I did want to read the report because I do remember being interviewed for it, and I was at one point hopeful of this one brother's at least forthcoming research. So. But to me, it's also, as to bring in the someone else's favorite white man, Shakespeare, a pox on both their houses. Like the Harvard Kennedy School is no, good actor in this either, as far as I'm concerned. And their attack on a group I'm, critical of was not done for some, noble purpose. It was done again because they see any movement off the Democratic Party plantation as a problem. And they certainly are not. None of their criticism in their report was of the reactionary conservative politics of ADOS and FBA. That wasn't their point. To the extent that they just beyond maybe not supporting the Democratic Party, but certainly they were not critical of them for not advancing really, the politics we need to be engaged in. So, I see. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead.
Real quick, speaking of research, because of the fact, I think this is very important because of the fact that we're talking about research and people who put in work. Tonight at 8 p.m., we will have Dr. Leonard Jeffries, one of the foremost African scholars who's been putting in work for literally decades, at least a half a century. We'll be talking about everything from Cheikh Anta Diop to Frantz Fanon tonight at 8 p.m. live right here on Black Power Media. So please tune into that because of the fact that he reminds me of a time when we actually had to sit at the feet of elders, and we actually had to research, and there was no internet, there was none of that type shit, social media to qualify you. You actually had to do work to stand in front of a joint. So yeah, check us out 8 p.m. on that. But also another scholar in the background lurking in the background.
The audiologist.
The audiologist. Not a cardiologist, but audiologist.
Audiologist.
Hey, you know what it is? I'm here in the movie set. As they said in that movie Rockers, I came to change the mood. So, with that said, we're gonna talk about top 5 black gangster flicks. My top 5 black gangster flicks.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Remix.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and we are here right now in the movie theater. As you can see, we got it locked down right here. I ain't got nobody else in the movie theater with me. So I was talking about my 5 top black gangster flicks, and before I get there, I want to say big up to everybody that tuned in. For Sundays, it was dope. Thanks for everybody tuning in. We rocked the party. It was a dope thing. We do that at 8 p.m. on Sundays, so come check that out. With that said, now my top 5 black gangster flicks. All right, so we're gonna start right here with New Jack City. That's right. It came out in 1991, and let me tell you, man. Nino Brown taking over a whole project like that was some gangster. I mean, this dude he didn't care. He was all about money. And he's like, yo, I was put in this situation and this is what I had to do. One of the top, which came out in 91. Next, we're going to go to one of my favorites. We got to talk about this cast real quick. They had everybody in there. They had Wesley Snipes, Bill Nunn, Alan Payne, Chris Rock. It was a dope one. So next, I'm gonna go to Belly. That's right. We'll be talking about Nas, DMX, Terrell Hicks, T-Boz, Method Man. This right here was a dope gangster flick to me. These guys, especially DMX, I love how it came for the part of him being like mad grimy and into getting knowledge of self, and at the same time, Nas always pushing the knowledge of self, like, yo, we need to get off this gangster. And then you have my boy, which was in both movies. As you will see in our next movie, I point out, that's right, Shotters. My boy Teddy Bruckshot. In case you don't know about him right there, Shotters was a dope movie with Damian Marley. It had my boy right here, Sprague Benz, Wyclef Jean. It was a dope movie. You can see a lot of the same things in the other movies of like Belly, and yeah, it was there, Scarface, all that. But it was a very dope movie. Other than that, I'm gonna go to the City of God. City of God was a very dope gangster flick right there. When you're talking about this guy holding down it, I mean, it wasn't a lot of money, but he had some money after a while, and they was doing some real grimy stuff, getting the kids indoctrinated into the whole gangster life. Next, I'm gonna go to Hoodlum. That's right, Hoodlum with Lawrence Fishburne and Cicely Tyson. This was a movie that was out in Harlem. It came out in 97. City of Gods came out in 02, and Shotters came out in 02, by the way. And those are my top 5s. I got one just because I'm saying I'm from Jersey. State Property. Listen, dog. Your boy Beanie Siegel and State Property. Come on, man. If you ain't see this is one of the most gangsters dudes right here ever in a movie. That's my top 5. That's what it is. So let's go take it back to the morning host right here, right now on the morning show. All right.
Listen to me, man. How you not going to have Harlem Nights on the joint, man? No. I know it's supposed to be a comedy, but that's the best black gangster movie of all time.
More comedy.
Not gonna, and then what about the origins of Biggie's name, of Biggie Smalls? You're not going to have
Caesar,
any of them.
Hell Up in Harlem. Yes.
You're not going to have any of those. Let's do it again.
Wildin'.
Uptown Saturday Night. Is Bill Cosby that far canceled?
Fred Williamson.
Are
you not going to have Fred Williamson in the
those are comedies.
No, Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem ain't no comedy.
Okay, those two ain't, but it wasn't that gangster.
What about Sugar Hill?
Not like Shotters, not like Belly.
Shotters, I have to admit.
Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem.
Belly is one of the worst acted films I've ever seen.
One of the worst ever.
And then to have the radical figure played by Ben Chavis Muhammad's son.
Yo, wow, disrespectful, man. Belly. Come on, Hoodlum. And then
Hoodlum was cool, but it wasn't Black Caesar. It wasn't Hell Up in Harlem. You know what I mean?
And what about American Gangster?
Across 110th Street. What's up?
American Snitch? Okay, yeah, you can put that on there.
I mean, well, when you think about it, I mean, yeah, you got a point there. But I rock with Hoodlum though, because of Bumpy Johnson, even though his character was in both.
It's the same character.
I mean, man, he just skipped the 70s altogether. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, you know, I could go back there, but these are my top 5 for especially the 90s and 2000 era. We'll go to the 70s we'll go to the black exploitation movies, since I got some JD Revenge. I got some movies now. Don't front.
I know to say this one isn't black, but Warriors was like
definitely Warriors. Yeah,
I mean, I would consider it a black gangster movie, but you know, for gangland stuff, that was
Warriors was like the first Colors,
the multiracial gang movie.
I saw Warriors in the movie theater. My parents took me to the theater in 1980 to see Warriors. I guess they ain't had no babysitter, but yeah. Shout out to Warriors. Warriors come out and play, yay! Yeah. Cyrus in the building.
I had Cyrus's speech as my radio intro audio for years, where he concludes with "Can you dig it?
Can you dig it?"
And what was he talking about? Radical unity, taking over, you know, pan gang organization to take over. He said there's 5,000 cops and 70,000 of us. Yeah. Can you dig it?
he was an organizer, and just like organizations, he was taken out. You know what I'm saying? By some ops. So yeah, that's a real good joint. Thank you, Kamal.
Well, that's my top 5. I'll catch y'all next break. Peace.
Okay. By the way, I gotta say also that I have a PTSD over New Jack City, because 90% of the violent conflicts I suffered happened after Wesley Snipes beat down Christopher Williams on screen, and the light skins was you know, taking another shot. So it was like everybody thought after that it was open season, and I was like, nah, man, that's a movie, son.
I wasn't all that mad. I wasn't all that mad when Wesley had some of his troubles, because he single-handedly killed that.
You know what I'm saying?
Light skin vibe.
Yeah.
Put it in
all that
anyway,
muckery.
What's up, little man?
Shout out to Nick Ashford for his role in there. I see Nick Ashford in Connecticut all the time in the park. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. Nick Ashford. You know what I mean? Anyway, shout out Lil Kamal in the building. What's happening, man? Colin in the building.
By the way, I forgot. We only had Tierney for the first hour this morning?
Hey man, it's 3 the hard way right now, man. What you want to do?
Oh man. Well, we have some more stories to get to. I know that. But so we can pick up on some of those. I know you had a couple left, Kalanji, and then you know, there's plenty more to get to here this morning on the RemiX Morning Show. Thanks
no doubt
for joining us.
Okay.
But do you want to pick up there?
I mean, we kind of you know, we talked about Trump the chump a little earlier. You know what I'm saying? So I know that the Iranian president has some a few choice words for him. So I want to pull that up real quick, because I think it's important what he's talking about. And when we talk about relationships internationally, the fact that Trump is even considering making a comeback is some wild mess, man. But give me a second real quick. We'll pull this up real quick. I don't know if y'all can see this here.
Yes, indeed.
It's popping up. Cool. So Iran President Ibrahim Raisi. Yes. You see it?
Yeah. Prosecuted and killed.
Prosecuted, killed. Yes. Over 2020 drone strike.
Wow.
Says the president of Iran called for former President Donald Trump to be prosecuted and killed on Monday over the U.S. drone strike in Iraq that killed a top Iranian general in 2020. Yeah. 2 years ago, General Qasem Soleimani was Soleimani was killed from a U.S. drone strike at the Baghdad International Airport, and President Ibrahim Raisi said he wants Trump to be held responsible for the attack. He said, I'm telling all American leaders, don't doubt that the hand of revenge will come out of the sleeves of the Ummah. Raisi said.
Yikes.
A memorial service for the second anniversary of Soleimani's death was attended by thousands of people gathering at mosques in Iran and countries across the Middle East. However, the day of grieving was filled with violence from a string of attacks, 2 quote-unquote suicide drones, one of which had words Soleimani's revenge painted in Arabic, was shot down by troops at the Baghdad International Airport. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the drone attack. No damage or injuries have been reported. Additionally, an Israeli newspaper, the Jerusalem Post, had their website hacked with their homepage replaced by a picture of a missile coming out of a closed fist wearing a ring associated with Soleimani's death. The last reported attack comes from the Emirati ship being overtaken by Yemen's Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. Now, that's kind of wild.
I don't want to put this on. I want to give her credit, but not put something wrong on. But I think I saw in an interview sometime after that killing of Soleimani, in an interview with Rania Khalek. I think she was the one doing an interview where she was talking to an Iranian expert who, because there were a number of people who were saying there's going to be reprisals and the U.S. should be prepared that something was going to happen. But this person was saying, yeah, Iran will not forget, obviously, and it will seek revenge, but it may wait. It will be patient, and we may not be automatically aware of the form of that revenge. So I hope I'm getting that right. But I feel like, anyway, that's how I'm remembering that interview. And so I'm not surprised that obviously there's still that kind of sentiment there. But anyway, that's a hell of a statement to come out with
from the president, from a sitting president. Which
well, unfortunately for Iran, it doesn't have a lot of strike capabilities to seek the type of revenge that it's speaking about, and so obviously it struck back in the sense of it targeted a U.S. base, but carefully calculated its attack to make sure that no U.S. troops were hit, which in and of itself speaks to an upgrade of Irani's weapon capacities to be able to do that. And I think the thing that the United States, when it comes to Iran, knows is that it could try to encircle and put a chokehold around Iran to challenge U.S. policies or get it to try to stop in challenging. But the U.S. doesn't want to invade Iran because that's where Iran could do damage, because Iran is a huge nation state, upwards of 80 to 90 million people, 2 to 3 times the size of Iraq, and it would not be a quote-unquote cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination, even if it was at first able to do what it's done in other countries, sort of subdue the national government and take over. What you would have is an insurgency which would cause a lot of pain. And then you have the regional instability, because Iran has the ability to target its next door neighbors, who are U.S. basically satellites, right? With Saudi Arabia. Even at this stage, this talk that it could actually reach Israel in terms of its weapons capacity. So the United States' continued, effort against Iran is really about containing and hurting it in ways in which it knows Iran cannot strike back, because it just doesn't have the capabilities, technologically speaking, weaponry and all that kind of stuff. But Iran does, again, whether or not people like the U.S. likes everything about Iran's ideological stance, Iran has created an axis of resistance to challenge U.S. hegemony. And the only reason Iran is hated today by the United States is because it had the nerve to overthrow the U.S.-backed dictator in Iran, the Shah, and to actually say, give him back, and people took hostages. And that's the embarrassment level that the U.S. cannot stand. Iran has to continually be punished for doing so.
Right, and that was heavy, man. I mean, again, I remember that 1979. They had all these. It was like 9/11 before 9/11. Everybody's walking around these yellow ass ribbons, talking about free the hostages.
That's
and all that, and how they
used to put them on trees. They used to wrap them around trees all the time. You see them everywhere. I remember that.
Devil horns with Ayatollah Khomeini's face on it and everything. But and they embarrassed the hell out of Carter. I think that's what pushed Carter over the edge and brought his ass back to reality. You know.
Well, and remember that even during that time period, Iran was trying to release the hostages before the election, and it was Reagan's administration getting in that did everything it could to delay the hostages, who were just pawns in their minds, for being released until after the election. So they kept wanting to use it as a way to batter Carter for whatever it was worth in order to win an election. So that's how much they cared about their hostages.
Right. But remember also right after that, ironically, that's when Reagan was popped, like 4 months after office or whatever, by John Hinckley Jr. When it
was that soon? Yeah, I can't honestly. I don't remember.
I think it was either March or April of that year. Or was that? That was right after y'all homeboy Lennon was shot. John Lennon, not the other.
Right.
Yeah. So was that 80 or 81?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I just remember learning within the last year, I think, that the doorman of the hotel in front of where Lennon was shot had been a member of the CIA contingent that invaded Cuba in the Bay of Pigs.
Wow.
So I'm gonna just leave it there. But it was just one of those crazy coincidences. You know, but
anyway, about to turn into a conspiracy show soon, I think. With
I mean,
and I'm with
if it's just a coincidence, is a fact. I mean, it's a coincidence. It just seemed crazy that would have been, you know, how you would go from I was invading a beach to now I'm a doorman. I guess it's possible. I mean, a lot of military.
Nothing coincidental around here, especially using CIA. I mean, you went from the CIA to closing doors.
It's just, and obviously people should check me on that. I encourage that. I don't want to, whatever. But
You're gonna change your name to Jared Jones in a minute. But anyway.
Oh boy. In BPM InfoWars.
That's right. Anyway, where we at?
All right, so one of the it was funny. Somebody also brought this to me on Twitter, and I had one of my little petty responses like, "Don't send me Wall Street on Parade stories. I'm the one that told y'all about Wall Street on Parade. This is my spot. Don't But anyway, but I'm glad that they did, because I had not seen this story that came out yesterday, which I think is very interesting in terms of when we talk about. Well, when I at least would want to talk about the assumption of political power and redistribution, as opposed to petty infighting over what crumbs we're going to get. But the story here, there's a news blackout on the Fed's naming of banks that got its emergency repo loans. Some journalists appear to be under gag orders. 4 days ago, the Federal Reserve released the names of the banks that had received $4.5 trillion in cumulative loans in the last quarter of 2019. And I just want to read that one part again. $4.5 trillion in cumulative loans in the last quarter of 2019 under its emergency repo loans operation for liquidity crisis that had yet to be credibly explained. Among the largest borrowers are JP Morgan Chase. And I always want to remind everybody when Jamie Dimon, and he didn't put his fist up, and when Jamie Dimon took a knee in front of his vaults in commemorating George Floyd's killing. He was a part of this. Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, three of the Wall Street banks that were at the center of the subprime and derivatives crisis in 2008 that brought down the U.S. economy. That's blockbuster news. But as of 7 a.m. this morning, not one major business media outlet has reported the details of the Fed's big reveal. Just one other little piece from this. The dollar amounts of the Fed's repo loans grew to staggering levels on October 24th of 2019. The New York Fed will now be lavishing up to $120 billion a day in cheap overnight loans to Wall Street securities trading firms, a daily increase of $45 billion from its previously announced $75 billion a day. In addition, it's increasing its 14-day terms loan to Wall Street, a program which also comes out of the blue in September, to $45 billion. Those term loans since September have been occurring twice a week, meaning another 90 billion a week will be offered, bringing the total weekly offering to an astounding $690 billion a week. It should be noted that if the same Wall Street firms are getting these loans continuously rolled over, they are effectively permanent loans. That's exactly what happened during the 2007-2010 Wall Street collapse. Some teetering Wall Street casinos received individually $2 trillion in cumulative loans that were rolled over for 2.5 years without the authorization of even awareness of Congress or the American people. One bank, Citigroup, received over $2.5 trillion in Fed loans, much of them at an interest rate below 1% at a time when it is insolvent and couldn't have obtained loans in the open market. I just want to share one other quick piece about this because I often have to look this up just so I'm clear what is being discussed. But just so everybody, just what a repo loan is a repurchasing agreement. A repurchase agreement is a form of a short-term borrowing for dealers in government securities. In the case of a repo, a dealer sells government securities to investors, usually on an overnight basis, and buys them back the following day at a slightly higher price. That small difference in price is implicit overnight interest rate. Repos are typically used to raise short-term capital. They are also a common tool of central bank open market operations, end quote, from Investopedia. My simple summary of that is when big banks need some help, the Fed steps in, creates money out of nothing and gives it to them. When the rest of us need help, nobody has anything to say. They don't have any, they tell us to start a business, go to college, buy some land, buy a house, stop buying rims and weed, get your money, stop, misbehaving, get your financial literacy together. It just keeps on going. Invest in crypto, get your Bitcoin, all of that. But nobody says, just create the money we need to wipe out our debts and keep us going. Nope, that part is off the table. So whether it's student loans or any other kind of debt, the sums that are being passed around here per day in hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars in one quarter. And people have the nerve to then tell us, you fight each other over reparations, you fight each other over minimum wages, you fight each other over every single damn thing. And when I see stories like this, it just, again, makes me want to do push-ups and get out and just, at least intellectually, as Bob Brown would say, beat somebody with a bat and shotgun some of these ideas out of the air and say, look, man, all this is out here. Nobody needs to be suffering like this. We just need political power. As Kwame Ture said, that's all I want. Just power. That's it. You can have everything else. Just give me the political power.
Gotta love it, man.
It's crazy, man.
Man, listen, man. And the fact that people are literally starving is like, what I'm saying? Wow. It's like, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? It's just an amazing time that we live in, that so many things are allowed, and we exist and go along with it and complain from time to time and stay in step, so.
And I think, again, I know it often sounds cliche and corny, but we are then encouraged to fight amongst each other. And I honestly even mean that interracially. Like, this is not my attempt to be kumbaya and whatever, but this is part of what is encouraged here, where I don't want to hang out with like 95% of the people on the planet. Just my personality. I'm good. But I want everybody to be taken care of. And I don't care even if I hate you. It's a matter of self-preservation. That if you aren't suffering materially or otherwise, you're less likely to be a threat to me. You're less likely to put together policies or engage in organizational efforts that are a threat to me and mine. So I'd rather everybody get health care, some space to live in, some food, some whatever that they need to keep them happy enough and productive enough for society and away from me. That's fine. Personally, that's fine.
But if they were well taken care of, they wouldn't be able to work at those great jobs that paid them $14.99 and make the capitalists all the money that they make. So,
but see, this is the trick, though. I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead.
No. So I'm just saying, this society. I'm not sure what your counter argument is going to be, but this society, I think, believes and so desires to have excess labor to do its bidding to make the products and everything else And they are meant to believe that the reason that they don't have everything is because they don't work hard enough for it.
Right.
Not that there's enough money to go around. Don't you worry about the trillions that the banks are getting. That stuff isn't covered day. It's a good propaganda system, right? They don't cover that stuff day. You have to find Wall Street. What is it? Wall Street on parade?
Wall Street on parade.
Yeah, you have to find that sort of like, little bead, within a sea of propaganda news about who's doing what to who, and the fighting between the Democrats and the Republicans. And that's where your focus should be. It shouldn't be on what the banks are actually getting and the resources that they have. And the fact that overall they could share the resources they so desire to, but they have no desire to. And part of it is because they think that's how their system operates to keep them going, right? Capitalism.
Yeah. No, I don't have my bad. Real quick, I don't have a counter argument. The only thing I was going to say is that people want to be active. People actually want to work and contribute. So if we had a situation where the Walmart greeter could work a few hours, feel like they've contributed to the world, and had health care and had enough money that they didn't have to stand. They were, in other words, people would want to contribute and could be encouraged to contribute, and we could all work a little bit for much more. So in other words, and when I think of a transition, a realistic transition, so to speak, to my fantasy society, we could have a situation where people are not forced to work 40 to 80 hours a week. They could work 10 hours a week for 3 to 4 to 5 times the pay, with all of the benefits, because that's the kind of resources we have. And then everybody would feel like, look, if I want to work, if I feel like, I want to contribute, or we need help over there, I'm fine to do it, because I know I'm going to put in a few good hours, and then I can go home. I can have a vacation. I can have health care. And I think, anyway, but you are right. And it's, in fact, years ago, it was a Mumia commentary, was one of the first that I ever read about, or heard him read about, the intention to create a surplus labor pool so that they could drive down wages, put us all at fighting against one another, and have us all distracted from the trillions they're walking off with. So all that's anyway, that was it. My bad, Kalonji.
Nah, I'm good. It's not me. It's the brother in the back right about now. You know what I'm saying? Since we talking about getting all this money and everything.
He look like he back on stage.
The best time to bring on the world famous Ed Doctor. World famous Ed Doctor, where you at?
He's muted. That's how.
Sounds real good.
I'll be better, Another good movie, Life.
That's one of my favorite. Life is. I think it might be Eddie's best. My favorite. I think that's an excellent choice. Classic.
Yeah.
Live.
All right. So real quick, we're gonna go into a artist spotlight, get some shine to somebody, and that's what it is. Why not? Let's go.
Right here. RemiX morning show.
Yeah. What's good, everybody? Welcome out once again. This is the RemiX Morning Show. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe, that notification bell, so y'all can know everything that's going down. We got some dope things coming up, so peep that. All right, with that said, we're gonna go ahead and get into artist spotlight. First of all, I want to give it up, as we was talking about earlier. We was talking about a brother that made his transition, no other than Max Julien, as some would know. He's also known as his government name, Maxwell Banks. He was born in January the 1st, 1933, and made his transition January the 1st, 2022. He's a actor, a sculptor, a clothes designer. He was known for his role as Goldie in the 1973 blaxploitation film The Mac. He also was seen in the Mod Squad, the Bold Ones, Protectors, and he also was a co-producer of Cleopatra Jones, another dope movie that came out. He started off doing New York City off-Broadway circuit, doing plays and stuff like that, and just blossomed. The dude did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, like over 16 movies. I mean, we talking about the Black Klansman to Mod Squad to Getting Straight to the Mac, Cleopatra Jones, and the great Black Western, Thomasine and Bushrod. That's right. A lot of people seen the the newest cowboy movie that came out, Harder They Fall. This dude was doing the black cowboy movies back then. So big up to no other than Max Julien. And with that said, I want to give one more shout out. Actually, we're going to pull out the milk carton. That's right, the milk carton for an artist that we have not seen in a long, long time. I'm going to do it like this. That's right. We're going to talk about Junior. That's right, Junior Griscombe. You might know him for his song Mama Used to Say. Mama Used to Say. That's right. This came out in 1982. This guy was a British guy, one of the first British people to successfully make a tune that banged out in the United States. So where you at, Junior? We need some more of this right here. That's what it is. Dude had like 6 albums and only had that one. So when you talk about only doing one hot song, that was definitely Junior. Big up to Junior, and that's what it is. Please make sure y'all keep up with what's going on right here on Black Power Media. Now let's take it back to our Remix Morning crew. You know how we do. Woo! What you know about that song right there? You better teach young come out.
Mama used to say,
man, that was the joint right there.
I know, yo. And I was like, you had me looking up Max Julien. And I was like, oh, dang, I remember Max Julien from back in the day. For some reason, I think of him, I always think of Leon Isaac Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. Penitentiary movies.
Penitentiary, yeah.
And what was the sister's name?
Oh, Jane Kennedy, B. That's not, yeah.
Man, Jane Kennedy was the
original Thirst Trap.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Somebody said Jane Kennedy. I heard Jane Kennedy. I came running, boy. But I did have to step away. But I don't know how much was said. But I also have to say I'm still traumatized because when I was in the Navy on one of those old VHS tapes with her and her former husband got passed around, and it was a little disturbing. I don't know if anybody ever saw it. It was one of those original like urban legend videos, but not urban legend. I'm not gonna say too much come out. Don't worry about it. But I'm just saying it was a little disturbing.
Was it the first kind of one of those tapes?
Yeah, it was like one of those, except that she did not seem at all points to be a willing participant. I'll leave it at that. It was like a little disturbing. So it was at first, it was like, oh, a Jane Kennedy tape. And then a couple minutes in, it was like, oh, a Jane Kennedy tape. And even as a young man, I was like, wow, I'm a little uncomfortable. So
pre Kim Kardashian era.
Yeah. Wow. But this wasn't, I don't think this was done like this was the way the story was told was that, wasn't it Isaac Kennedy? Wasn't that his name?
Yeah, Leon Isaac Kennedy.
Yeah, Leon Isaac Kennedy.
Right. That he had put the tape out after she left him as like a payback. It was like one of the first revenge porn.
The first Ray J.
And it didn't go like she didn't, wasn't able to take advantage of it in the way certainly Kim has. But anyway, big shout out to Jane Kennedy, boy. I
hijacked the moment because it started with Max Julien.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
he was cool too.
I always think of the other light-skinned fave at the time was Leon Isaac Kennedy. And of course, you can't say his name without saying
got you.
Ryan Kennedy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sports reporting, I think, has never gotten better. I mean, she, it's been downhill ever since. Like that's how I remember seeing Jane Kennedy on NBC Sports.
Oh no. I mean, I don't remember her fault. I didn't care about her interviews.
I mean, how else was I going to see her as a kid?
Well, yeah,
internet. That's what I'm saying. It was like maybe in Jet or something or Ebony.
Oh,
or
wow.
Like,
that was
Jane Kennedy Jane Kennedy about 127 years old now. Y'all still talking about Jane Kennedy?
So are you? What are you talking about? We all 127 years old.
Who else was talking about? Her and Pam Grier, boy. I tell you, boy.
No doubt. Speaking of birthdays, though, today is also CLR James's birthday.
Oh, wow.
I mean? So shout out to CLR James and his contributions. You know what I mean? I know that's a big switch from going from Leon Isaac Kennedy and Jane.
That's how we do on
Jane
BPM,
Kennedy.
man.
Hey, we got
a lot of
remember
families that don't.
Where else would you go from Jane Kennedy to CLR
Exactly.
James?
We going higher. Anyway.
Well, that's what it is. I catch y'all later. Peace.
Peace. Yeah. But
Hey, so Kalonji, I know you had one more meaningful story before we got to some of this, at least some salacious news.
We do salacious news here at BPM.
Well, I mean, the world is salacious. I never
knew?
clutched my pearls.
Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to point out something that we should all remember. The last parent of one of the children killed in the Baptist Street church bombing died yesterday, I believe, on September 15, 1963. Of course, a bomb was planted in the Birmingham church by the Ku Klux Klan, and it ended up killing 4 young girls. The last living parent of any of the 4 Black girls killed in the 1963 Alabama church bombing died on Sunday. She was 93 years old. Maxine McNair's family announced her death in a press release. The cause of death was not given. McNair's daughter was 11 years old at the time, Denise McNair. She was the youngest girl killed in the bombing of the Birmingham 16th Street Baptist Church, the deadliest single attack of the civil rights movement. Also killed were 3 14-year-olds, which was Addie Mae Collins, Carol Rosamond Robertson, and Cynthia Dion Wesley. 3 members of the Ku Klux Klan were eventually convicted in the case, the first in 1977 and 2 more in the early 2000s. Maxine McNair worked as a school teacher for 33 years in the Birmingham public school system, and her daughter, Lisa McNair, says she changed many lives through education and left a lasting legacy through the students she touched. Maxine McNair's husband, Chris McNair, died in 2019, also at the age of 93. And he was one of the first Black members of the Alabama legislature since Reconstruction and a Jefferson County commissioner. So we wanted to just say, rise in power to Maxine McNair, who, I couldn't even imagine the pain and the suffering that the parents of those children who were murdered brutally while they sat in church by these racist ass crackers. You know what I mean? So we wanted to, salute her for carrying on for so many decades, because I can only imagine how tough that must have been if you're not safe in the church. You know what I'm saying? With people who are supposed to be peaceful, where you're supposed to be, with your Lord, then I think that it's one that's telling of the lack of respect that these warmongers and haters of humanity have for humanity.
Yeah, the church piece is certainly reminiscent of the Dylan Roof attack as well. You would think, you tend to want to think, even as an atheist, you tend to want to think that's a safe space. Like, dag, But and honestly, I don't think I remembered that they weren't convicted to so long after. So that's a long time to not only have to suffer that loss, but to have apparently not anything done about it.
Right. Because you're talking 1963, and then the first one was like 1977. You know what I'm saying? So that was well over 14 years, and then going into the early 2000s. But and
then all that happens is a conviction. That's
and this is what we hope for here in America as Black people, as African people. The least we beg for is a conviction. But oftentimes, what do those convictions mean? You know what I'm saying? What do they mean in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah. I also think about the fact that, we think of it as like a history of a long time ago, but the fact the mom just passed away showed us that the daughters could still very well be alive today.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Like this
Absolutely.
history, people like to think about as ancient history or something that's a long time ago. It's like, relatively speaking, it's short, right? And relatively speaking, Jim Crow is short. So when folks talk about this sort of trajectory we're on, we have to realize that this arc is not even that long at this stage. So, and then lastly, we're talking about this person's death. Most people don't even know who she is, her connections. She passed away. Only a few people talked about it. But on Black Twitter, Betty White was celebrated like she was.
I saw.
I thought she was a freedom fighter the way folks were carrying on about her past. And it's like, all right, she was had some funny lines, but can we calm down over Betty White passing?
That's a good point. I saw your comment on that come out.
I'm not going to front. I'm not going to front. I got a text saying, no, someone told me Betty White died, and I thought they said Betty Wright. So I was like, oh, shit, Betty Wright died. No pain.
Oh, wow.
No gain. I was like, Betty White, her white ass, 192 years old, man. Go ahead on with this shit. Anyway, I like Gold Girl. Point. Shout out to Betty White. But I was sadder than Betty Wright when I thought it was Betty Wright. I ain't no front.
No, but I mean, it's not. I don't even think, I don't even take Kamal's criticism as something personal against Betty White necessarily. It's to say, like, damn, where's our priorities and how easily we can be made to focus on whatever. That's. Whew. But I saw that. I was like, yeah, that was. I didn't realize that she ran that tight with the Black community.
I mean, Black folks love anything funny. You know what I'm saying? You know what the last poet say, and then Biggie reiterated, party and bullshit and party and bullshit. But like you said, Kamal, yeah, I mean, the fact that folks don't know the names when you talk about say her name, quote unquote, the names of these little girls who were bombed in that church should ring bells. Literally, their names should be known, but unfortunately, they're just listed as the 4 little girls who died in the Birmingham church. So it's like they're nameless. So let alone them being nameless, the parents have no chance. You know what I mean? So we should always remember those girls. And as M. Bowl pointed out, the 5th girl who survived, Sarah, can't think of her last name, but there was, Sarah Collins Rudolph. This is, it's a travesty, and we shouldn't pick and choose. You know what I mean? It's a shame that those names aren't highlighted, but we will make an effort here at BPM to make sure that their names live on, and we salute the family members and loved ones and all those who have come after them.
I talk a lot of trash, I think justifiably, about the film Selma, which I still will think is historically just trash for removing Kwame Ture entirely and for other reasons. But I do give it credit. The opening scene where that bombing is depicted had its intended effect on me. I was ready to get up out the seat right then and there, like it was just happening. And that's what I want in a scene. I want that reaction from a scene like that. I don't want to be, just sad and contemplative or whatever. I want to, that's how I want to feel. So, but anyway,
I mean, it just what, just the emotion behind it. I think that, again, we're so desensitized. And as Kamal pointed out about the fact that these little girls could have very much still been alive to this day because of the fact that, like you said, the mother just transitioned. But the fact that we're so desensitized, as we talk about it like it's such a thing in the past. I don't know how anyone can have children, let alone daughters, and it's not affect or impact them because of the fact that, I mean, how do you move on from there? You know what I'm saying? You're on mute, Kamal. Oh yeah,
ain't no move on.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, it's like, it's like I couldn't even, I don't even, folks say, I can imagine, I can't imagine, and I don't even want to imagine.
Yeah,
because of the fact that, I mean, like you said, how do you carry on? I don't know. I couldn't see myself waiting for a conviction. I couldn't see myself waiting for justice, and that's not no tough guy talk shit. Because oftentimes we talk about it couldn't have been me. I'm not saying that at all. I don't want it to be me, and I just don't know. Man, I can't even.
Well, and when things like this happen, my reaction, it tends to be that any response from the way those parents responded to the way you or anyone else might respond is perfectly justifiable and legitimate. I don't think there's any response that could be seen as inappropriate. It's so, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I think, just an added injustice that they had to suffer, that they had to wait that long for a conviction, and that's ultimately all it was.
Absolutely. And we have to take this shit personal, and that's just the reality of it. And that's one of the things where we fail, we stop just short of taking it personal, because of the fact that if it's, unfortunately, to the masses, if it's not a member of your family, if it's not a friend or someone that you know personally, it's almost a story, and you move on to the next story.
I think Selma is not even that big of a town. Selma, I mean, that means that this person and all of their cohorts, who at one point it became public, folks knew who did it. They're walking around town. They walking right by other family members. I'm sorry, Birmingham. They're walking right by Birmingham. They're walking right by family members of yours, right? They're walking right by stores and all that kind of stuff. They riding into your neighborhood. All that stuff is right there in your face, right? And you feel powerless to do anything about it. That's the situation that America provides for us.
Yeah.
So, speaking of what America provides or doesn't, I know this pun intended pales in comparison to that last story, but I admit that I paid a little bit of attention to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial that ended last week with her conviction on 5 of 6 accounts. But what I noticed, among other things, including the connection between the prosecution and I think it was James Comey's daughter, I think was the prosecutor. And there's all these other, and admittedly, I forget the details here, but there was all these other Clinton administration connections to the prosecution. The prosecution wanted, the judge wanted to make sure this was wrapped up before the holiday, which seemed interesting given how much evidence had apparently been brought out in the trial. And then this story here, that what I noticed in what little attention I paid to it, that I would admitted that I wanted to see what names would come out, if any would come out. And not only is this story reporting that Maxwell will not flip on others to get a reduced sentence, and she's got another trial for perjury coming up. But a lot of the names that we would have thought or had been thrown around were not really brought up. And in fact, a lot of the accusers who had been more prominently known to bring out the names of people like Prince Andrew and Alan Dershowitz were not even involved in this trial for the most part. The accusers involved in this trial were a different set of accusers. So it's in many ways an odd. And there are a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of crazy ties between Maxwell's father, who was a prominent media and business person, who died, some say suspiciously at off drowning, I think off on his boat or something like that. There's all these very interesting connections and ties, not the least of which is, how do you have this multi-decade operation of preying on mostly poor white girls and abusing them? How do you get away with that? And how do all these people that end up in some association, the Clintons, the Trumps, the Dershowitzes, the whoever's, how is it that they're all just kind of like what I was saying before, like, oddly enough, all of these people under FBI surveillance get assassinated. Oddly enough, all of these big names and billionaires are all over the place, but nobody saw decades long worth. Even the pilots in the plane said, I never saw anything that looked odd. Even if, I mean, how does that anyway? So, but they anyway. Yeah. So that's it.
They don't want to be like Epstein. They don't want to commit suicide involuntarily. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's part of the thing when you talk about Maxwell. No, she's not flipping. You know what I'm saying? They know what time it is. It's like, I think that we are forgetting like you just mentioned, the quote unquote powers behind this saga. You know what I mean? And what is taking place already. There's already been 2 connected folks who have committed suicide. Remember that. So it's like, Maxwell's like, look, I'll go ahead and take my chances in these cells, before I go ahead and end up with a rope around my neck, and I don't even have a rope nor know how to tie a knot. You know what I'm saying? And end up writing a letter about my suicide when I don't even have an ink pen. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, hey man, you know what time.
She knows jail ain't gonna protect her. Prison ain't gonna protect her because they reaching inside to snatch you up. And I think this story is so big because this is like the Caligula of our times, and there's so many folks involved in it, and that's why they want to keep it hush hush, or they don't know what happened, or don't see what happened. It's not like it's going to bring down some economic house, but it'll bring down so many people individually who are involved, and you don't know at what level they were involved. And so people, definitely are pulling strings behind the scenes to make sure that this seems to be a one to two or three person operation is always, the lone gunman, the lone thing, and nobody else knows anything, saw anything, we're anywhere close to it. But those pictures are out there, and then everybody's just got to shrug their shoulders and go like, well, I don't know what happened, that kind of thing.
Just one other piece from this that I saw the other day that was one of my favorite offshoots is that the BBC had to apologize because they had Dershowitz on as to comment on the trial, and even during the interview he was making reference to the fact that one of the accusers had thrown his name into the mix, and it was one of those sort of awkward moments of well, the trial is this and that and that's happening, and even one of them threw my name into the mix, and it's like, well, yeah, because you happen to be around apparently enough. But the BBC anyway had to apologize because enough people raised that was enough of a contradiction even for BBC viewers to say, look, man, the dude is implicated in the joint. Right. Find somebody else to tell us about the trial.
It's about one appreciation for social media. At least it gives some platform for regular folks to shout back and be like, yo, this is some BS. So we see the propaganda model and make these folks responses. It's the one thing that, that I think it adds to the mix of like at least allowing other voices to come up, and media is not as controlled by these sort of quote unquote corporate mainstream platforms, because now people have some ability, whatever that minor that may be, to respond and say some things back. You know what I mean?
There's another contradiction I have to admit here. It kind of reminds me of the way I felt when I used to see Dick Cheney in the news more often, that there's something that I appreciate about the Gangster of a Dick Cheney and an Alan Dershowitz approach to their accusers. Dershowitz is like, nah, she's a terrible person. I'm a suer. She got no proof. I'm gonna go on TV and talk about the trial. The same way Cheney was like, yeah, I shot him in the face. What? What? We were hunting. He got in the way. What? And when they asked him, how do you, nobody's agreeing with these invasions of Iraq, and he said, literally on national TV, looked at the camera and said, so what? I was like, that is an opponent. That's a worthy opponent right there, as opposed to Prince Andrew talking about, I don't remember and I didn't do anything and I'm going to hide behind my lawyer. Dershowitz was on TV talking about, nah, I didn't do it. And she, what you? And I'm just like, man, and the environment is so willing to accept them. It's just beautiful. Yeah, Dershowitz can come on TV, of course. Of course.
Act like like you accuse the accuser. You know what I'm saying? Like abuse.
After all you were accused of is supporting the abuse of poor. I know they're white, but they're poor white girls. They're poor white girls. Like at the end of the day, it's another sign that this is not seen as a serious crime. You didn't mess up the money. You didn't mess up the wars. You didn't free any, oppressed, colonized people. So if you want to engage in some rape and abuse of children, hey.
American way, huh?
More than America. Yeah. This is the global,
European way.
Pardon me. There it is. It's crazy. Anyway, but I don't, anyway, that was our BPM coverage of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. You're welcome. The RemiX Morning Show.
Good luck to her. We wish her pain and bad health.
She got another trial to go through.
Yeah, well, good for her. So are they gonna Trump's gonna get any charges on them? What's your take on that, man? I see that.
Man, that's what I'm saying. These cats, they're not even unless I missed something. It's very possible I did. I mean, this wasn't my main focus, but that was sort of the point, that none of the people who have already sort of prominently called out these names, they weren't the people in the trial. These are other mostly unknown or formally unknown accusers, and there's so many that so that's why I don't think any of these big names. That's why I think Dershowitz still feels comfortable enough to go on the BBC. He's like, and he'll tell it. That's why he's saying, I didn't do anything. They can't prove anything. These are trifling people. They're not even good witnesses. Because that was his point. The accuser, one of his accusers, was brought up only as someone who was not seen as a strong enough witness in another situation. So that gave Dershowitz even more. See, the person that's accusing me can't even help this other one. And it's, instead of saying like all of these people, there's so many people accusing, he's able to say my accuser can't be used to help that accuser. So therefore I'm innocent. That's evidence of my innocence. And at no point is anybody saying, or to the extent, I don't think, you all just by association need to be canceled or given a seat or whatever. I mean,
sent to Iran and let the Iranian president decide what the fate is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I mean, it's so even as we're talking about, anyway, it's just
yeah. Well, I mean, whatever she's charged with, I'm sure she'll get the Bill Cosby early release.
Well, that was already discussed. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned that one of the reviews of this trial that I watched made that point already, that her lawyers are already building their appeal based on the Cosby's lawyers' approach. So like she's going to get that level. I mean, they have endless money. And more importantly, they have endless amounts of people with endless money that they could implicate if they don't get the help. So I'm sure there's a lot of people lining up to make sure she's getting every bit of help that they can get her. And then to your points that you've both made, if in fact that's not enough and you feel like you need to say something, we got that other contingency plan for you waiting, So
that rope, got that rope.
The abuse is not going to stop. So if you can get out of this without the abuse stopping, congratulations. If you can't,
hey man,
plan B.
Take care of you. I mean, but again, if she does any real time after trial, I would be amazed. I'd be amazed if they even tell us what prison she's in, because of the fact that knowing them, she'll be somewhere in Europe or on an island, relaxing and living life, and we're thinking that she's locked up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So who knows?
Can't put that past anybody. So, but anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's the Remix Morning Show. We have a big year. This is our first episode of the new year, right?
That's right. Right. First show of the new year. First
full
Boom Bap Breakfast back. Man. And there's a number of things that I saw. There's a number of things happening. Again, I actually need this. So I'm sincere. Obviously, it's a promo for our channel, but I am sincere in the value of the bell, because even as a participant and colleague in this enterprise, I can't keep up with everything that's happening.
Right.
So you already mentioned Dr. Leonard Jeffries will be on later today.
Yes.
And then I don't even know what is this thing that's happening tomorrow at 4:00. Why is Assata Shakur still relevant in 2022?
Yes. So tomorrow we will have Bibi Angola, who is the editor of Assata Speaks. She will be joining us at 4 p.m. tomorrow. She actually saw the BLA special we did, and she felt that those brothers didn't give Assata enough credit. So we're going to be dealing with we're going to be talking about why Assata Shakur is relevant in 2022. That'll be tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's going to be an awesome show. We talked for a few hours the other day about some of the direction we'll be going in. So definitely make sure that you check that out. That is like I said, the editor of Assata Speaks. She's going to be re-releasing the book this year. So definitely, check that out. But again, at 8 p.m. tonight, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of stuff. And, for folks who aren't familiar with Dr. Jeffries, because I recognize that a couple generations have come out since the times of him and Ed Koch beefing out in New York, and the situation with him and the Zionist community and all the bang outs and the debates and things at City College and whatnot. He is definitely one of, when you talk about Dr. Clark and Dr. Ben, he's one of the, next generation or next in line as far as their students and confidants, so on and so forth. His history is bananas. So we definitely going to enjoy speaking to him tonight, like I said, at 8 p.m.
I do want to say very quickly, just in response to what you said a minute ago, that I love the fact that in BPM's sphere of influence, there are those who would say we weren't left enough in our conversation with the BLA. So I think I love that we are in that position where somebody be like, yeah, that wasn't enough. Yet right. 3 of the members involved and they still didn't get it right. And we're going to come back with some more. I love it. So I can't wait to see that joint.
And it's necessary.
And that they would be in contact with you, I think is even, I think is even better. I mean,
oh yeah, man. We BPM is where it's at. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think it's and shout out to all the folks behind the scene on BPM, of course, you all and the Ear Doctor and May and our whole BPM crew out there that's been putting in that work, because of the fact that, again, it hasn't been a year yet, but we have some serious arsenal in the archives, and we have a whole lot more people I've been in touch with, a gang of folks internationally. We have some jewels coming over the next few weeks, and I say that with authority. In fact, I would dare to say that we have some stuff coming up that's going to make it look like we haven't done anything yet. You know what I'm saying? Right. So we coming.
Damn, word.
Better act like y'all
haven't
know
done anything yet. Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. You know what I mean? And I'm not only a client. I'm one of the presidents.
I want to know who coming on now. I want to know now.
That's why all of us have to click the bell.
That's
and
right.
Make sure you don't miss nothing, because you gotta get that notification. It's not enough to subscribe and to follow it all. You gotta get the bell so that thing comes and says, "Bam! Look at what's coming."
Exactly. Be like, "Oh, who that?" Yeah, so we coming with it. And remember, mark your calendars. February 17th. Again, that will be our 1-year anniversary. So we're not even gonna let y'all know what we're doing on February 17th. In fact,
stop front.
I don't think we know what we're doing.
I was gonna say, stop front. We don't even know.
I was gonna say, we don't.
It is. I'm looking now. It is a Thursday.
Have we talked about that yet?
We haven't. We haven't had one discussion. So it's Thursday, February 17th. So that'll be the Friday remix, the Thursday, Friday remix of that week.
Okay.
Right. The wrap up, the Friday for the remix on Thursday, February 17th. And I'm sure something special will happen.
We might do an all-day special. Who knows?
Maybe
we might call the whole crew.
No.
Not us. Hold on, not just us.
A marathon.
Come out like I got here an hour late today. You out there?
Telethon happening?
We're gonna do a telethon.
Telethon.
We're not leaving until we get
10,000
new subscribers.
That's right. We need gifts. We gotta go to the casino.
Hey, you know what? I will take a selfie and sell it as an NFT to raise money. How about that?
Take a selfie and sell it as an NFT.
And you could just take a picture you could get anywhere, and I'll sell it to you for thousands of dollars.
That's nice.
That seems what's hot in the streets these days, in these digital
streets.
What's going
on?
Anyway, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole right now, but that's some funny stuff too. We why not? Why not have a BPM non-fungible token that people can?
Hey man,
right click and save.
Anyway, as you can see, our crew has lost their minds, so it's about time for us to get the hell out of here. It's about that time. Check us out tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. EST. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to be expanding our platform. We're going to be joining, getting on other particular networks, so on and so forth. So just beware, be advised. We here at Black Power Media. We love y'all. RemiX Morning Show. Salute.
Peace.